yours. I'm putting myself together. Now, where you may accept me as your husband and love me as I would love you, but then those other forces in terms of family would be worried that I'm benefiting. And I've seen this right here. I've witnessed it in many times. And let's say if you shall die, is it fair that I get everything that you have? Or what about the family that sojourned with you long before I even come along?
Well, that's why we have a will. We would have a will. But my husband would attain the majority of the assets. But then it would be a will that's set in place as to what I would leave to other family members.
Okay.
To me, when you draw up a prenuptial agreement, you're already going into the relationship for failure.
Yes.
You know, you're not even looking, to me, your mindset is already, this thing is not going to work. And I don't believe, coming from a Christian standpoint, that one should go in, you know, with a prenuptial. You know, now, regardless of what I have accumulated.
Let me ask you, sir. But then how do you get around that family backbiting? Because there's going to be some family.
Well, there are always going to be some family backbiting. I mean, you cannot satisfy everybody. Now, if I accumulate it, it's mine. It's not my family anyway. Okay. So what I choose to do with my money, my house, or whatever I have, that's left up to me.
Okay.
You know, so it's not, you know, family.
Right,
I love my family, but I make a decision as far as what I want to do with my money, my house,
all right,
my car, or whatever else that I have. Now, if I want to leave it all to him, so be it. He's my husband.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So I just don't believe that we should go into anything as far as marriage, especially with a prenuptial agreement, because your mindset is already saying it's going to fail.
Absolutely. I agree with her 100%. You're already saying that you're not expecting there to be any success in that marriage. And therefore, you are looking for all types of things to happen that's going to cause a disaster in the marriage. You've already set it up for that in terms of the agreement. So I agree with that. I think there has to be clear decision, and it has to be biblically based.
Okay, but let me say this right here, Doctor. All right, I go back to that again because I think that's one of the biggest factors in us actually getting married. A lot of times, not all the time, we're seeing a different margin today where the man has accumulated a lot more than the woman. Where before it was just basically the woman, but now we're seeing a different scenario where now the man has, stored his stuff up like a good squirrel should, you know what I mean, and the woman come a lot of times with nothing. And so now how do you just, go into that right there? I mean, would you psychologically feel shortchanged that you have sojourned all this time? You held the ground, you know what I mean? And then you meet somebody that may not have walked the same walk. Maybe they walked a good walk, but they were traveling, they were doing their thing, and I mean, they had a good time, and and then you've accumulated homes, you've accumulated this, that, and the other. How is it that I don't see it being comfortable? I think that's one of the biggest pictures that we're facing here in America today, in the African American community today. That I don't think do we recognize that we have economics has a way of changing us a little bit. Where before it was it was get married and everything, and and you work together, and everything because you started at a bottom. But today we have the sisters out here, and even some of the brothers making 6-7 figures. Absolutely. And they've been good stewards.
Absolutely.
They've been good stewards. And then they meet somebody that might have just became a good steward. Huh? How do they not look at them with the double eye at times?
Well, I have to,
Go ahead.
Pastor, I really have to agree with what's being put on the table right at this point. Though we're looking at things, we're looking at materialistic things.
Yes, we are.
Things that have been acquired through working or whatever the case may be. But in the long run, you're looking at things versus a godly principle being placed in your life.
Wait, hold on. Don't say the Reverend Zachariah is not looking at anything. I'm on. Let's just clear it up. Let's clear it up. It's not the Reverend Zachariah philosophy. It's just the study of what I've seen over time.
Okay.
That this has become an issue that we don't, that we don't talk about.
And it
Let Mr.
shouldn't,
Marshall
and
help
it
me out
really
because I need
shouldn't be
help.
an
I
issue.
need help. I need a man help.
It shouldn't be an issue, Pastor. It really should not
Go
be.
ahead,
an issue.
Mr. Marshall.
I'm going to approach this from a purely economic perspective.
Go ahead. Lay it down, Mr. Marshall.
I often
Jesus.
see all kinds of conflicts
Okay.
with property.
All right.
I see deeds that are not prepared for property. Wills are not set up properly. Insurance policies are not set up the proper way.
Okay.
The conflict that you described, I've seen it where children come out of the woodwork
Yes.
and start fighting with second wives.
Yes.
And all it. So while everybody's correct, it probably ought to be done in a straightforward way. The fact of the matter is, human nature will drive the behavior. And,
Yes.
and if it's not a prenuptial, it's got to be something where everybody knows what's going on
Sure.
up front. Because
Sure.
otherwise, it's not.
Up front is very important.
Up
Very
front,
important.
yeah.
Up front. Up front.
I agree with that.
Okay.
You know, it's how is the property deeded? Who's the beneficiary of all of these insurance policies?
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
What do I want to do for my children versus your children?
Of course. Of
Or
course.
what do you want to do for your children, and what do I want to
Sure,
do for
sure,
my children?
sure.
Those are very critical issues, and no matter how you go into it, at the end of the day, human nature will drive a lot of this stuff. So govern yourselves accordingly.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Don't you think that needs to be discussed before entering into marriage?
Yes.
Yes, but without a legal bond, you understand? How, it's just basically hearsay. You know what I mean? We got to see. I think that we have evolved. I don't think that we pat ourselves on the back. Let me be more correct as I can, because I'm a reverend out here. I don't want to get nobody mad at me. I'm not teaching a philosophy. This is not the philosophy of the church of what's happening now. This is just what I've seen. I've talked to people and things of that nature, and I'm just, sitting here trying to help this whole thing, to look for helpmates for the people out there. Now, I think that, yes, some kind of legal bond, need to be put in place, because we are not like our mamas and daddies was back in the 60s. We have surely evolved economically, you see. And economics come change, you see. Now, how do we do that? Now, let's say I make $25,000 a year, and you make $70,000 a year, because some of them big sisters out there making $80,000 a year. They're making that money.
Absolutely.
Now, you're not going to live on my $25,000 economy, right? We're not going to live with, we're going to live on yours. Can you still be that beautiful, supportive wife? You're supposed to be.
I'm supposed to
You're
be.
supposed to be. Say it loud.
I'm supposed to.
Say it loud.
I'm supposed to
All
be.
right, I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud.
I'm supposed to
You're supposed to be.
be. Yes.
But I've seen attitudes come. Okay? Friends and things. And if you don't do as you asked him to do, supposed to do, you know what I mean? Maybe the garbage is there or whatever. You're living in a 300,000-400,000. You know how y'all live today. You know what I mean? You ain't shopping at Walmart. Come on now. You got clothes that don't wrinkle no more. All right? You ain't, only thing you're going to see as far as the tools. You ain't shopping too much in those inexpensive stores, which is good and everything, but you're not really putting your energy there. You know where you shop. The man know you when you walk in who you are. Come on now. Now, how do we land that? Because that right there is a very big issue in our community. How do we land it? How do we bring that to you?
Well, first of all, it goes back to communication.
Okay.
Communication is key. And if he's making $25,000 a year and
Right.
I'm making $75,000,
All right.
75 plus 25 equal 100,000.
Okay.
And I just see it's all according to how you look at it. Are you looking at the glass half empty or half full?
And I'm looking at the full, but I
I'm
wonder
looking
how
at the
long
full
can
too.
you look at it that
Oh,
way?
I
That's
can
all
continue to
I
look
wonder
at it.
how long
Because now
can
we
you
have
look at it?
$100,000 that we can live on.
Okay, I believe it.
So,
I believe.
so you know,
I believe.
communication is key. And if I know
Mhm.
that he's only making $25,000 when I enter into that relationship,
right.
I mean, why should I be, you know, surprised later on in the relationship?
Now you
because-
already got the house, and can he raise his voice in the house? Sometimes a man want to.
Well, first of all, he shouldn't be raising his voice anyway.
But sometimes a man do. Sometimes you know.
You know
Sometimes
what
a man
I'm
want to
saying?
raise his voice and
I mean,
beat
you
on his
know,
chest.
Well, you think, are you saying that raising the